Okay, we're live for the latest edition of the Data Value Show. Today, it's product-oriented data engineering and management. And we've got my good friend, JGP. I'm probably pronounced that incorrectly anyway, but yeah. Hey, JGP, I made my best French accent.
Oh, that's a good French accent.
Well, welcome to the show. I've had the pleasure of meeting you over at Day to Day Texas, and always enjoyed the conversation. So it's great to be able to bring you on the show to share your views with the world and maybe a little bit of banter on the way. But would you like to provide an introduction and share a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks, Chris, for having me there. I know it's better. We're almost distant from a channel distance, right? Right between the French and the UK, but we are actually. I'm in Pennsylvania and you're in New Jersey, right? So
Yep,
we just have to
same
cross the
distance.
Delaware River.
Yeah, we've got the same sort of distance. So
Exactly, which is a safe distance, I think. So okay. So my name is Jean-Georges Perrin, and unless you took French in high school or in school at large, I often go by JGP, which is a lot easier, and not JPG because when you saw me like Chris, I'm not really compressed. I've been in the business for like I was maybe I like to say 25 years, but it's more than that now. I just it's like after 25 years you don't ask a lady for age, right? So it's 25 years, and so I'm a product manager at Actian, and I work a lot on data contracts and data products. I'm an O'Reilly offer and a Manning offer, and I am also something I'm pretty proud of, a lifetime IBM champion. Um, Never worked for IBM. Tried a few times. They probably didn't think I was smart enough, and now I just they just tell me, oh, you're just an IBM champion, so that's fine. Yeah, so happy to be here. I we met in at this fantastic conference earlier this year, and which is Data Day Texas.
Good event.
Cheers to Lynn for that,
Yep,
and
hopefully, big shout out. Yeah.
Yep. Hopefully we get there back in next January.
Yeah. So I hope to be there again, but if not, we just found out I'm going to see at Big Data London, which is next month.
Yes. And the very funny thing about Big Data London is that 3 years ago I got accepted, got my token, and all those things, and I managed to survive the COVID wave, and puff, COVID. So I could not go to London, and last year I was also hoping to go there. So it's the third time's the charm,
as they say. Yes.
So,
Well, it'd be great to see you there. I think as just saying, we've got a booth there, and we've got an evening event where we'll have like a town hall debate. So we'll probably have you part of that if you'd be interested. So well, let's see how today goes. And I'm sure it'll be all right. we can do another event in London. So yeah, we'll touch on the IBM stuff because obviously I've got an overlap there because I suppose I worked at Cognos before they were acquired by IBM, but not actually working for IBM because I left before they did. But a slight overlap. It depends which part of the IBM products you liked. Were you there? Were you there DB2 champion, or were you there your Cognos reporting champion?
No, actually, I came to the IBM world via Informix. So that's kind of a little funny thing. So last century, when I was in college, I had a vigorous chat with one of my professors who was trying to teach me SQL, and I went to him and say, what is that for? Okay, what is this SQL thing for? Is
Hmm.
that for us, or is that for any kind of, okay, young, a little bit stupid secretary that
Yeah.
would do a report for a boss or something? And he said, "Oh, it's for secretaries, and they could do their reports and all these things." And said, "Okay, well, this guy is completely nuts." Then I decided, and it was all on Oracle, so I
Yeah.
decided data is not for me. Okay, data is out of the picture. And then Karma. I found a job at a development tool company, and they were working very heavily with Informix.
Hmm.
And thanks to that, I kind of went back to data, started loving it, even SQL, and well, okay, in a reasonable way. Okay, let's be honest. And then and then I that's how I kind of went back to data and starting loving databases. And uh, and then Informix was my thing, and I joined the well, I was elected to the board of the International Informix User Group for 15 years. So I was really pretty deeply involved with that, and pretty deeply involved with IBM at that point,
Hmm.
because they acquired Informix in 2001, like a little bit later Cognos.
Yep.
And so it was great. But after some times, I think I had to see something else than Informix. But Karma again, when I joined Action a little earlier this year, they also own Informix now.
Oh, really?
So so
It's following you.
I think I'm a hamster in a wheel, or something like that. So
It's quite strange how these things get passed around. This software, all good software, where it goes to die, doesn't die there. It carries on.
well, yeah, and to be fair, it doesn't need to die, and I think it's still a fantastic database. And
Mm,
you know, I joined Actian to take care of data products, data contracts, and what we're going to talk about. But it was it was funny to see actually all those friends
mm,
I still have from the Informix age that are still there doing support now, doing product management, being going from being an engine and an engine engineer, going and now being in the leadership roles and things like that. So
mm.
it's all fantastic, and you've got
Good to see.
this knowledge of the engine, which is just great. Okay, so yeah, it's data.
It is, yeah, and well, this whole data thing has been going bigger and bigger and bigger because it, it it's now touches every part of a business and every part of careers or part of your journey or roles in businesses. But shall we let's go to our data products because we can reminisce a little later about it. And I can talk about how fond I am. I mean, I've Ryan, is it Ryan Dooley? Yes, one of the Dooley brothers. He's a
Yep.
big IBM fan as well. So we've
I think fan is a big word there, but
yeah,
yes.
yes, okay.
Ryan is a great friend of mine. Yeah, yeah. That's why I've never been invited on his show. So
Oh yeah, I've got. I saw that. Yeah, and you're on here first. You see, well, well, Ryan, I pipped you to the post. So, data oriented data product, a sort of a approach to engineering and to management is being that vision that we've been trying to get towards get to for a while.
never been
Um,
invited on his show.
and oh yeah, I've got. I saw. Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I didn't know if it was. I didn't know if I'd left something on one of my ones. And part of that, yeah, is the ability for communication between different components of a product and the associated management of it. So this leads on to the data contracts. How these things talk to each other. So how would you describe data product oriented data engineering and management? What would be your elevator pitch for the reason for it?
Uh, you asked me to take my product manager cap or my marketing hat. Um, so, I think you and we've been around a little bit. Okay, so we've got the color of wisdom in our beards and stuff like that, and if everybody kind of remembers, that was a world before agile software engineering. And this world was really about waterfall, and so basically, in a nutshell, you do specs, whether they're good or not. Okay, you validate them whether they're good or not, and then you go to engineering. And if there was a change in, then you go through change management eventually, or you just fuck it up. And I think that data, we've been doing that for a little bit like that for too long, and we needed to change that. So the easy answer is, oh well, let's do agile data management or something. And well, of course, some people tried and it failed. Okay, so I think that what has happened over time, and especially I think since Shamak Degani published a work around data mesh. Okay, so that was 2019 to 2020 roughly. Things have slightly pivoted, and we're bringing back ideas of agile into data management and data engineering, and that's why, I was working with several people trying to find, there's everybody's talking about the modern data stack or of modern, and the thing is, yeah, but it's modern until next week, right? Or you've got something which is moderners and the thing, and then
I always used to hate the term modern, because where'd you go from that?
Exactly.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, or the thing like it's Web 2 and then Web 3 and then Industry 4.0 and all those things. So you keep versioning numbers on your concept or something. So let's try more finding a name around that. So discussing with people like Joe Rice, Sanjeev Mohan, and in France, Philippe Newberg, we kind of coined the idea of product-oriented data engineering and management. Okay, so PODEM, which is actually a fun thing because it means we can in Catalan and in Portuguese.
Was that by accident, or was we engineering
totally conceived around this thing by accident? But anyway, so the thing is, I think it was kind of an interesting concept, because it really represents where we are. Okay, the thing is, instead of focusing on agile or a methodology or whatever, you're focusing on delivering data as a product, and I think it resonates a lot to a lot of leadership people, a lot of even engineers. Okay, so it's not only about technology, it's not only about engineering, and it's not only about management. I think it's kind of bridging all the things there. And you mentioned data contract, so going back to that, I think that's a basic element of this methodology and this idea is to let's rely on an agreement that, hey, I am the producer of the data, and Chris, you want my data, I use a data contract. Okay, and one of your compatriot, Mr. Andrew Jones,
wrote a book on it.
Wrote a book on it, and pretends he coined the term, which is probably true. But I've never really liked the term of data contract. I think it's more like a brochure. It's more like an information sheet, or call it the way you want. Okay, but here is the way I'm going to describe the data, and we can work on that because it provides you a framework for discussion.
Yeah, it's the whole thing that APIs came around, and microservices came around, that Martin Fowler, obviously from ThoughtWorks as well as the concept came around. And if you want to do this agile way, you need to have something to have a dependency that you're working against, because otherwise, if you're all going different directions, they're all going to join up. So I've always supported that approach. The problem is, and I know Mac was trying to address this with data mesh, but unless you start with some good data models, for example, underneath these things, and start with that and then build contracts on top of them or interface on top of them. I think if you go trying to agile, then drive your data model off the contracts that get created, it's the wrong way around. So I think if you're starting with that data model, then giving those contracts ability to interact with that model is the right approach.
Yeah, and you know about this thing, I've been in a few companies either as an employee or a consultant, and it's always the not invented here syndrome, okay, the NIH, okay. So someone who spent maybe tens of hours or to design a model to store the data, when you're thinking about, oh, I need to do data measure, I need to do data product, okay, every time the idea is, hey, let's destroy that, it was not good enough, okay, to remodel and do something else, okay. And I think part of what I'm trying to design around Podem is more like brownfield as well, okay. So someone has spent quality time designing something for this use case.
Yep.
So let's reuse that and turn it into something we can reuse, okay. And that's the whole idea about product, where you kind of enter a life cycle around that, okay, instead of a project management where, okay, I've done my thing, okay, maybe it works, maybe it does not, okay.
So really having that whole roadmap for your product, where you're iterating around and extending, and I think that's the key to it. You've got to have, and this is where Agile has always struggled in the data world, in my opinion, is there was none of that upfront planning. You may not have gone for the same sort of level as you've done with the old waterfall days, but at least if you had a roadmap defined of where you want to go, logical components that you've defined, and maybe the associated maturity of those components that are needed to deliver the use cases you've got in the right order, and then start building your platform like that and building those out. You know you're driven by the business use cases of what you need to do. You've already defined your components. You're going to know which ones you're going to need to enhance, so you can actually go and give people to do that. And you can start to define the contracts of interoperability. We've got a question here from Dan Blake, actually. So, and yeah, been around for a long time. I suppose we were just talking before. I quoted ISO 8583, so that's been around since the 1980s, I think. Maybe it was. It was when the payment a standard, a contract, as you can see it as that. Maybe a first level of version 1 of what we see is now, and obviously more to that. But yes, this question is, how do you help advising to guide organisations to the right level of contract maturity?
It's a really good one. I've tried to work on maturity models for all of that. Okay, so I like that your show is about data value. Okay, because this is really something that resonates quite a bit with me as well, and I like to see the process of, okay, you're getting data contracts, you get some value out of that. You go to data products, you get more value. You go to data mesh, you got a lot of value. But even in this kind of, I don't like the term silos, but even in this kind of step forward, you've got, if you imagine kind of an horizontal scale, you also have a vertical scale where you say, okay, I can start with a data contract, which is just representing my schema.
Yep.
And then I can add SLAs, or I can add data quality rules, or I can add more description. Okay. So that's where you can gain maturity.
Yep.
And for example, let's say I'm going to, and it's quantifiable. Okay, it's not like, oh, it's maturity because I feel like I'm more mature today because I've got white beard, right? But the thing is, it's more like, here I can say that, okay, zero SLA rule in my data contract, that's level 0 of or level 1 of my data contract. I've got 50% of my fields that are covered by data quality rules. Then okay, I can say this is level 2 of my maturity model, etc. So you can quantify them, okay, and by quantify them, you can measure them, you can control them, etc., etc. So I think, Dan, if you're really trying to do that, I have not made a rule yet about that, and I'm not going to make any rule, but maybe suggest a framework sometimes when I'm maybe writing another book with O'Reilly.
Well, I look forward to that one. And you're exactly right. I mean, that advice is solid. And the other thing I'd add to that is the measurable one of the maturity, the features you're adding to contracts, which can be mapped to the maturity. But if you're able to map that maturity level to the benefits it provides the business,
Yeah,
to deliver that from either a speed to market, from a quality assurance, from unlocking other use cases that you weren't able to do before, to being able to automate more things that you would have had to do previously manually. So, yeah, and that's a really, really good way of framing it. And I think that's not just for data contracts. That's for everything that you have as components of your platform. Mm.
it goes, it goes crescendo. Okay, and what I like about this kind of approach as well, it's not a warehouse approach. Okay, all respect to Bill and all the warehouse guys out there.
Mm.
um but a warehouse project is by definition kind of a little bit slow. Okay,
Yeah,
you've got to think this thing, you've got to model this thing, you've got to ETL this thing.
yeah,
um, and so the value you're getting out of that is coming a little bit late in the process. Okay, when I was at PayPal, we had our first data product up and running in 3 months. Okay, so it's not like it's rocket science. It just takes a little methodology, it
yeah,
takes a little forward thinking, um, a little bit, unfortunately, of change management. But you can get value, and it's something I'd like to work more on, is how do you quantify trust in data? Okay, because we're all about that. I think that's kind of the ultimate goal, is people want to have AI ready data, or you want et cetera, et cetera. But it's about trust, and how do you quantify trust?
yeah. I mean, before we get on to the trust one, I was going to go back to the other one of um, data warehouses being longer and getting a product out in 2 weeks. So back in the day, we used to call that bimodal development, where you'd have sort of like you're doing both things at the same time, whereas you're doing something very quickly in a more of a slapdash sort of way, but then feeding that back into the bigger picture. Um, but the thought I just had earlier is the reason why we went agile was because we couldn't go fast enough. So we had to get results quicker. Now we've got Gen AI, button, or we got that facility in everyone's back pocket now. Um, the speed that you can get things done now has increased massively. I think the sort of, and that's because of the dependencies. I mean, I know this from playing around with stuff myself, is I would have a logical stop when I reach a point where I don't know this technically. So I'll have to go and speak to someone the next day or ask them to go and have a look at it. I don't have that problem now because I'll do a bit of vibing, work it out myself, and I can unblock myself. It won't be production ready, but it means I can get to the next point where my thinking and refinement of I can go back with an idea and then someone can productionize it. And if we can get that sort of thinking into product engineering approach as well, is that you're now embracing the fact that you've got the benefit of being able to step back and do a little bit of planning now, because you don't have to. You bought your time back later. So okay, let's define a good ERD. Let's define a good define requirements. Let's define the different components. Let's actually think about the maturity of the features that go into each of those components. Then we'll start. And unfortunately, we've always started too quick because we've got to go quick. We've got 6 weeks for our first one. We'll just go for it, and then you build up technical debt, and you don't go back around and fixing it, and you've just ended up going in different directions and not the sort of way. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's. I don't know if it's
Well,
going to.
so one thing I didn't talk about in my introduction is I'm the chair of the technical steering committee for a Linux Foundation project called Bitol. Okay, and
Oh
the
yes.
idea of Bitol is to um, um, define open standards
Mm-hmm.
for data engineering, and so we have an open standard for data contract. We have an open standard for data product, and we're working on other standards like intercommunication, more operating, more ops oriented standards. Okay, so that's all on Bitol.io and Bitol.io/roadmap. Um, but where it's interesting to link that with Gen AI or any other tool, okay,
Mm-hmm.
because Gen AI is and all those LLM and interface with LLMs, it's tools.
Yeah.
But when you teach an LLM to understand a data contract, a standardized data
Yep.
contract, then you can add it. You can ask it everything. Okay, and the thing is, it's pretty obvious, and it's also pretty straightforward. Okay, so one task of standardizing data contracts around your data project, okay, and multiple outcomes. Okay, so
So I had
definitely worth it.
I had Jay Palmer, who was talking at the Winter Data Conference I did in March. He was talking about large language models or small language models. He said it's specialized language models. It's had these specialisms, and you're right. If you can create micro specialized language models that are pointing to components or roadmap things and have that visibility of it, you can a lot of the heavy lifting can be done for you, but it can't do the thinking for you. You've got to do the
Nope.
design front. It can engineer the best thing you architect, but it can't architect the best thing it has to engineer.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful assistant. Okay, I love to see, and that's how I use AI. Okay, as an assistant for something. Okay, I'm writing this chapter, and I ask the assistant, did I forget something? Okay, and it comes with plenty of things which are meaningless most of the time, I would say. Or but sometimes it says, hey, you forgot about this thing,
Mhm.
and yeah, it might be worth exploring and adding it. Otherwise, a kind of an early reviewer, for example. Um so I think that's really where I see the combo of that. And if you kind of pre-teach, okay, a little
Mm.
bit of your LLM, whether it's a specialist or even a general one,
Yeah.
um, because standardized data contracts are pretty easy. Okay,
Yeah.
so you get a lot of value, and and I kind of I'm curious to see how far we're going with that.
Oh dear, so I just put that. Oh, sorry, Dan. I was accidentally there, Dan. Just put the wrong one up. So I was just. There's no excuse now not to actually do data modeling. Before, there maybe the skills weren't there, or the fact you had to move quickly, and there was no chance of like re-architecting stuff. So you just created a table for each. There's no excuse for that now with the support you can get from Gen AI. So
Yeah, so first it can do that, and I think it's how much cycle do you want to spend on a perfect model. Okay,
yeah,
so I work in companies where they say, oh, we've got to have this enterprise model. Sure, but you're going to take 6 months to do the enterprise model,
yeah,
where I've got to deliver in 2 months. Okay,
yeah,
so there's always this conflict: do the right thing versus deliver quickly.
yeah,
And I think, yes, indeed, all these things can be accelerated. Okay,
yeah.
and I can't wait to have Joe Rice book
Yeah, no,
ready.
forward
Give
to it.
it, give it to my LLM, so I don't have
Yeah.
to read it, and give it data contract so it can predict my life cycle for my
Yeah.
next iteration, which modeling would be better. Okay, hi Joe.
Yeah, if you listen. I think actually Danielle is actually tuned in, but I can't see because it says LinkedIn user, but she's been quoted. So I think, yeah, Daniel Simon, shout out to you. And Ramona, thanks for the comments. Um, so let's go back to the Bitol. So
Yeah.
we touched on ISO just before. Well, we mentioned it earlier as well. We talked just before we got on the show. And well, yeah, I don't know what's going on with my camera at the moment. I keep disappearing. I need to change my background. So, and you're quite right. you don't want to pay for someone to go and do a date format for you. Which there's some the currency ones it has and things like that. They're very well simple, should we say? I mean, probably the payment one is probably the one of the one I know of that's probably one of the more complex ones. So there is a bit of a need. There's a big need for this.
Mhm.
The UK had the open banking standards, so that was enforced. So to encourage what we call challenger banks in the UK, to everyone to be able to use faster payments mechanisms and things like that. And I don't know if you've got something equivalent in the US for open banking. Is it the same? Have you got?
I've seen some people looking at it. Okay, I don't know any banks that have implemented it, but I think some people were looking very seriously into it,
Yeah,
including some fintech I worked at, but I cannot really comment on how much it's been in, but I think I obviously I like standards. Um, I think ISO is doing a fantastic job with standards, obviously. Um, the only thing is, what I don't like about it is that they're pretty expensive. Okay, someone has to pay for something. Okay, it's not
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
not it's not
There's no
out of
free
this
lunch is
law.
there nowadays.
Yeah, but I find it like, okay, you want to push something, and you've got this pay to entry kind of way, which, okay, I want a list of countries starting with two characters, and I want a list of countries with three characters, and I've got to pay to access this list. Seems a little bit, and it's not like it's $5, right? It's a little slightly more.
What?
Um,
So you can't go to Wikipedia and just copy the code then?
well, technically, you're not supposed to find them on Wikipedia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're copyright of ISO. Uh, so so
Hmm.
so so but you know Bitol being part of the Linux Foundation, I've seen that other standards from the Linux Foundations, other open standards from the Linux Foundation, are actually working with ISO to give them a wider spread.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're mature enough to go that way. And the
Yeah.
thing is, those groups at the Linux Foundation level doing that are, more solidified group with their own source of funding and all those things. So Bitol is not there yet, but we're approaching that with a very high level of rigor. Okay, and so in we started. We're going to and our second we're going to towards our second anniversary, but so we joined the Linux Foundation back in September of 2023, roughly September to November, and in 1 year we went from the sandbox level, which is, the low level entry tier, to the incubation level, and then more mature projects are at the graduated level. Okay, so we are not there at the graduated level, but we are working very much into this direction. Okay, so and it's a standard. Okay, so when you look one way, for example, for um, open source projects to switch from this level of sandbox to incubation to graduation, it's the numbers of stars you're having on it. Okay, so you go, for example, to Databricks Unity catalog, and they have an awful lot of stars because it's a very interesting software product. We do open standards. Really, the thing is, I'm not saying it's boring, because I found that fascinating, but the thing is, it's not kind of the same dynamic, right? It's not something you download, you play with, and you put a star because you like it. Here, it's every star. I'm almost obliged to, go someone and go to our GitHub, go to our standards, and click on this star.
Yeah.
so, so so it's a little bit of a different scale, but that's how we grow, that's how we're going to mature, and that's how hopefully at some point we will be able to join ISO as well. Okay, so
Okay, so it'll be just a big one happy family. So the Beatles is part of the ISO.
Yeah, yeah, and and standardizing on dates, country codes, and things like that. It just makes it's metadata we need anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And yeah, thanks to the Dan just to, yeah, I'm not sure. I am my disappearing act. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there, but yes, I think yeah, you're right. It's been everybody UK. I think most banks, yeah, I think all parts of home use it. I think there's is it Bayern the other one I've heard of as well that could be used for that. I don't know. I don't know who manages the Bayern standards.
I don't know,
I think
but
I
it's
think
not
the
it's not uncommon to have groups of industry to get together and
hmm,
create a standard. Okay, so yeah, and as Dan was saying, I mean, the US, it's very difficult to have standardized standards across the entire country. At some point you realize that it's actually 50 countries, okay, plus
yeah.
DC. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It makes it fun. Yes, makes it fun to get anything agreed, isn't it? Um, so so yeah, so you're doing stuff um, with Bitol. So what's your vision of that going forward? Is it you're still getting heavily involved in that?
yeah, yeah, very much so. So we started so it all started back in 2023, early 2023, when I was working for PayPal, and I asked PayPal, "Hey guys, we've been working on this data contract standard internally, and I think it's pretty good. So maybe we should
Okay.
open source it, okay?" And that's how we started. We went this route. So I went through the entire legal process within PayPal to
Yeah,
open source something, and that was the data contract template.
yeah,
Um, then when I left PayPal, I kind of realized that nobody was really going to continue it
yeah,
as an open source standard. Okay, use it internally, or but not developing it
yeah.
outside. So I took it, forked it, and went to see the Linux Foundation and asked them, "Hey, is that something you guys would be interested in?" And by the way, I'm not stopping there. That's brick one of the portfolio.
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, yeah, welcome, okay. And we had this few sessions where I also said, okay, I don't want, the the steering committee is something that is really built in the Linux Foundation governance of a project, and and not picking on Unity, for example, but when you look at some projects that are pushed by a company, okay, they often stay with the company. So most of the people behind Unity are Databricks, okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people behind projects are a couple of companies. I didn't want that for us. So I took my stick and went uh, through seeing a lot of different people, mainly in Europe. So I was a long time in Belgium. I was quite a bit in Germany as well,
Mm.
and that's how we created this steering committee, which is now composed of 14 people from 13 different companies. And I was mentioning Andrew Jones before, okay, who worked a lot on data contracts, wrote a book, etc.
Yeah.
So he's part of the steering committee.
Yeah.
My awesome friends and a little bit competitors, Simon Ara and Johan Christ, are actually also there, and they created this early datacontract.com data contract specification, which they took on themselves okay, to say, okay, now we are at 1.2.0 of this, and while it's in maintenance mode, okay, all our efforts, it's on maintenance mode, but we are switching to open data contract standard, okay, and same thing for Andrea Dio in Milan, okay, we worked a lot on creating this data product standard, and actually I said, okay, well, now I'm going to work on open data product standard. Okay, so that's how we got this into the movement of 14 people, 13 different companies, all around the world. Only males. Okay, so we need women. Okay, but other than that, it's a pretty diverse effort that we have there.
That's a great achievement, and you're right. I mean, I was just saying.
I've lost your sound, Chris.
Oh, can you hear me? I got muted.
That's a great benefit of live.
No. Yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you anymore. Is it me?
I don't. Yeah, maybe you.
Maybe it's me.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about. Yeah, I don't know. Any comments? Anyone hear me? Can you hear me?
I think I've lost the sound. Can you hear me, Chris?
No, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if anyone else can hear you.
What's
Ramona, can let us know if you can hear me. Let's see if we get a message in with it.
My sound language is really rudimentary.
Oh, yeah. So Alex can hear me. So it's you. Maybe
I don't know what we're going to do there. Can someone in the audience? Oh, you can hear us both. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's really on me. Oops.
Oh, so you can hear me loud. Maybe because I was shouting. Sorry. How about now? Can you hear me now, JP? JG? Yeah.
The gods of technology are terrible.
Yeah.
The gods of technology are terrible. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
I still can't hear Chris.
Oh.
It's terrible.
Let me try.
Oh, I don't know what's going on.
Well, we may be back in a minute, so at least thank you for people letting me know they could hear me, even if it was loud as well. So I was just going to talk about how a lot of the Apache projects are very much linked to individual companies. So, Twitter, I think, was Kafka, and there's been other ones. So it's great that they've created this outside of a company and got 15 people all involved. So yes, I think hopefully he'll come back. Yeah, here we go. He's back. Let's see what happens now. Hey, how about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know what's going on. My background is all blurry and things. It must be a Russian hacker.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't die now, Chris. Okay?
Yeah, I know. I'm joking. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, you lose sound. I choke. One time we get some water.
Okay, so Wade is not here. Buy my books. I hope he's okay.
Oh, right. We're back.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think just as you were had your sound issues, I was saying, well, kudos to getting 15 people involved and it not just being driven by an individual company. So, you had, Kafka. Was it Twitter? I think it was Kafka. was it Apache product? Kafka was that was from Twitter, wasn't it?
Kafka is Apache, and it's mainly pushed and maintained by Confluent, and but it's now to a level of maturity, I think, that is where more companies are behind it.
Oh dear.
What an episode! The episode.
Yeah,
Of,
we did, didn't it? It was all going fine till then, wasn't it? It was all going fine.
I said earlier that it's going to be it's going to be a war between you and me. Okay, so the thing is, I think I'm winning. You tried to cut my sound, and now you're dying. So I'm on my way to win. Okay, so
I was going to try and find the Holy Grail one of the Monty Python with like the French taunting the English. So I didn't get a chance to do it.
That was probably the best scene ever in Monty Python, by the way. So
I will taunt you a second time. I think that was what makes me laugh. So another note I made here was we talked about IBM in the past. We talked about ISO from back in the day. And I think Ramona put a comment on there about, we always try and reinvent the wheel or create new names to things. And I think I use this term, we look to the past to innovate for the future. And there's so many things that we've already solved in the past that sometimes get overlooked with technology changes or a good example of that, the big data bubble where everyone forgot to data model. It was all schema on read. And then we realized, okay, there was a reason why we did that. And so I think I do see many parallels of the semantic layer stuff that's going on at the moment as well. An IBM fan, or even if business objects back in the day, a lot of this semantic stuff was quite well defined and best practice back then. So I think maybe we need to look further back and see what else we can dust off from the past and see what we can actually upcycle.
Well, I'm totally with you, and I think I kind of one of my first book I published at Manning was Spark in Action, and I was trying to in the book describe how we were how we reached this point. Okay, so because I think there's a lot of explanations that we can come in our past as well, and learn from our mistakes and errands and paths and journey and things like
successes. Well, when you do have them.
Well, I like to be optimistic.
Yes, well, we should be able to. So, I'm trying to think where we're going now. I've been thrown off a little bit. Yeah, so we're talking about things from the past, and I'm a big Cognos fan, and something I've seen that's probably only just being reinvented was that ability to have that slice and dice OLAP functionality of being able to drill down to different intersect points on a what we used to call cubes back then, and be able to write back at a certain point and be able to do what if scenario planning. And I've seen that that's been a gap for ages. I mean, SBase used to do it, TM1 used to do it, Microsoft Analysis Services used to do it, PowerPlay used to do it, but not with the write back. So now you've got Sigma. Sigma's come out recently. Well, it's been out a little while now, but they're really pushing that sort of write back and Excel sort of feel and slice and dice. So yeah, I wonder what other things are going to actually come out of that. We're going to go back to ETL soon, probably. We'll go back to that. We'll stop doing ELT.
Yeah, there's a bit of this pushback and okay, I'm not teasing Joe there, but when Joe Rice is working on modeling, okay, modeling was kind of a little bit on the back burner to stay that for a while, and we're kind of reinventing it. I often like to joke also about contracts. Okay, even if Andrew Jones coined it and worked the first book, but the thing is, back in the 90s, I was working on case tools, which were taking a schema and then based on an enhancement of the schema and generate an application. That's a data contract use case. Okay, so So we keep learning, and the most funny thing is, I think it's when the web, when we got the web in the early 90s, which was page by page, okay, which was very much similar to what you're doing with a mainframe, okay. So we keep reinventing ourselves with the same thing, putting a new name and
Yeah.
thing, and relabeling things. So is it, and there's kind of this, okay, this incremental improvement at each time. And and one of the things that Jean-Marc said in a book, Jean-Marc Degani, was that the data mesh was a revolution. um, I I I I I I f- I don't know if it's a revolution or just a good evolution. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so what could be next? I think it first. I think it's going to accelerate because, as you said, AI. We have this pixie dust, this AI pixie
Yeah.
dust
Yeah. Yeah.
thing everywhere. Sometimes in a completely insane way, and sometimes in a meaningful way. And so I don't know what's going to be the next thing, but it's going to come quicker than, and it accelerates from before. Okay. It could be, it could be smarter data quality rules. It could
Yeah.
be SLAs and all on all these things that makes a lot more sense. Okay. So but I think the maturity in data is changing at a fast pace. Okay. So because of the need of more data and more better data.
So, thinking that just through of like, have if you had that maturity map of all of the components that you've got defined, if you had that all quite well defined in the organization, and then you came along with your Gen AI, like, take capability and everything, what does that change? Out of all the things I've got, what would that affect, or what new features do I need to add to these things to go and support that, capability in an organization?
Well, yeah. What I would think is that based on this mechanism, okay, you would just accelerate that. Okay, once you've got a few data products at a certain maturity level, okay, the AI should be telling you, okay, which one is the next one you should target based on the usage, and should also should also give you guidance. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe help you in the life cycle of your data contracts and data products, and so I think there's a big role there. I think that BI might be the one that is actually going to be hit really hard next. Okay, so the thing is, a the CEO just entering a prompt because he wants to understand what sales are going to be, sales projection, without having to do all this engineering around it. Okay, so if you, and I don't know if you've seen the Chat GPT-5 announcement.
Oh, well, I've been playing around with it, and
Yeah,
it tells me I'm thinking longer for a better answer, and so then you don't feel so bad that you're waiting longer now. So I mean, it's really good marketing. I mean, that's really good.
yeah. So I think that might be the next it. And uh but we'll see. I still think that we we collectively need better data. Okay,
Yeah,
and data we can trust.
yeah,
So we are pushing. I think we should be pushing more towards engineering capabilities that are actually getting you out of the cycle, out of the maintenance only cycle.
yeah.
Okay, I've been in companies where they could not innovate with the data because they were just stuck
Yeah.
with the maintenance cycle. So
So, in fact, that whole trust thing, we probably didn't dive too much into that really, but the definition of trust is, well, dear me, we have to do it another day. I'm going to die. How do you measure trust? So, which is, yeah, that's a whole other topic. I'm not too sure how. Well, there's many elements to that.
there was Harvard business review article about trust, and I'm happy to send it back so you can put it in the show notes. And they were using three criteria for defining trust as a not specifically data, right, but as trust. And I think that when it comes to data, you've got to be able to quantify that. Okay, so and be transparent about it. And I think transparency is huge, because that's not something that we've been used to in the data world. Okay, so something like, okay, I know how many times it fails. I know how many times I know how many times uh, it's it's been used, and etc. Okay, so there's really a lot of things we can do that. And it's actually in the there's a bit of it's a fragment of the chapter I have on my on the book I wrote with Eric Broda, which is implementing data mesh. We talked a bit about trust and how we can actually apply trust to data.
So we need to do a shout out to your books then. So in fact, actually, Scott Taylor, shout out to Scott Taylor. He'd probably be at Big Data London. We're going to look at Scott. And I say Ramona, thank you, Ramona, as well. Not everyone else has listened. Yeah. So how your books you've written. So what are the books so people can look them up?
Yeah, my first book I published was Spark in Action, the second edition of Spark in Action at Manning. In this book, I wanted something super pragmatic for learning Spark. Okay, so this book has been out since back in 2020, so I think just a little bit, just as COVID was annoying everybody, and it was I think it was well received. Okay, well, it was targeting Spark 3.0, so it's a 600-page master monster book on that with a lot of details. I try to have. So first of it, I don't really like to read books myself. So that's where I.
That's why you write them so long.
Yes, and the thing is, it was really about. I had a great editor to work with on this book, and we really tried to, you've got a problem. It's described in one of the chapter. You don't need to read all the chapters behind to get to that. Okay,
it's quite self-contained.
It's not Harry Potter. Okay, it's and probably doesn't sell as well as Harry Potter as well. But
you'd be here talking to me if it did.
I don't know, charity business. But anyway, no. So the thing is, and one thing is, all the examples I wanted in this book were real examples. Okay, I didn't want to do you've got column A, B, C. And then you
they're a lot harder to do. If you've got to actually have working examples, you've got to check syntax, and when it's printed, it's we did one on data security with Snowflake with on A-Press, I think it was. We were doing all the technical stuff for the guy Ben Herzberg who was writing it. But so no small task. So well done.
Yeah. And so that was the first book. I contributed to a fellow Englishman of yours called Nick Toon for architecture modernization, where I brought the idea of data mesh as part of the modernization of your data architecture. My third book was also with someone where I wrote that with Eric Broda, and that was implementing data mesh, and it's very well received. It doesn't sell much, unfortunately, and I think it's because a lot of people are actually wondering what data mesh is anyway. Gartner said data mesh was gone, and now they're trying to come back with it, and it's a little bit confusing there a little bit. So it did not benefit really the book, which is, but it's very well received, very very good feedback from readers, and In parallel to that, I wrote a few self-published books. So I wrote a book on data products, data contracts, in so 3 books: data contracts, data products, and data mesh for kids. Uh, so the big illustration, big letters. So it's and what
Are these actually designed for the board level?
Well, actually, that's where I was going to. The thing is, I've got quite a few friends who told me, okay, I got this book, but I gave it to my VP, okay, or
Yeah.
and the
It's
thing
like a
is,
joke, isn't it? As well, it's like it's dumbed down for them. It's sort of like,
I
yeah.
wouldn't say dumbed down because that's kind of a little bit,
Oh, sorry, no, you can't. No, no. Yeah, I
yeah.
need to.
It,
It's been diluted.
it's a popularization of a story, okay.
Yeah.
So those books, they're only on Amazon, but worldwide the data mesh one has been translated in 7 or 8 languages now. Um, and um, and and they sell relatively well, and half of the profits, more than half of the profits I'm making on those books are going to 2 charities here in the US, where it's Girls Who Code and Black Girls Code. Okay, so 2 topics I'm pretty passionate about, and bringing more feminine voice into our industry.
Brilliant.
So yeah, so it's not thousands of dollars or billions of dollars coming in, but it's I think it's a good start.
Well done. Kudos to that as well. So we've gone over time. This is
Okay.
it's only by 1 minute anyway, but and we had to make up for obviously the lack of my coughing fit and then your sound issue.
Yeah.
Scott wants to know where are those kids' books, so we'll have to let him know where they are. But publish links to the books on the chat to this.
Yep.
So will anyone want to contact you, reach out to you? Where can they best?
I think it's LinkedIn. I'm trying to build up something on Substack as well. I'm still discovering the platform, but my good friend and colleague Ole Olofsson Banjö is pushing me there, and I found it kind of an interesting platform. So LinkedIn or Substack, wherever you want. Big Data in London.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll find both of us at Big Data London. So
yeah, and
that should be fun.
Yep. And then what else? And probably Austin in January. I'm trying.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing you in London, or my hometown, and we'll be very welcoming to our fellow French countrymen. So,
I'll do a T-shirt. Remember Jeanne d'Arc or something.
Yeah, I will. I'll have some. I'll have my Monty Python sketches ready for it.
Okay. We could get a couple of warm beer together.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be good. Thanks again, JGP. Fantastic conversation. I enjoyed it, and looking forward to seeing you in London.
Yes, Chris. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and see you in London.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. All right, bye, audience.